(2)446. My guests are very excited to have you interacting with us on the toll-free number. They are willing to answer any questions that you might be having. So call us on that number. Would really appreciate it. So let's open it up with the basics. A colleague of mine, Musoto Stone, earlier today was on the phone talking to one of our service providers, and I heard him saying something very interesting. And he says, Ronaldi acronym change government. And I thought that was very interesting. Here's one of them, LGBTI. Yeah. It sounds like one of those GTIs, if you want to, but this is different, right? Tell us about it. What is LGBTI? What are we talking about that? What exactly are we talking about?
Yeah. First, thank you so much for the question, because it's very necessary that we clarify and we educate the people. And LGBTI first is to acknowledge that it is people.
Right.
Right? It's not one person, but it's an acronym that represents marginalized identities and population and diverse population.
It's very interesting you say marginalized.
Yeah, but it's also part of why we have to educate constantly.
Right.
But L stands for lesbians, G for gay, B for bisexual, T for transgender, I for intersex. So it's a very long acronym, but it represents people. And it's a community who are diverse. It's sexual, a diverse population. It's gender diverse population, and it's really recognizing them as they own their own sexual orientation and gender identity and expression.
Right. I think before we go on, what I would like to maybe request from the listeners, if you've got young ones listening to the radio at the moment, let me ask you, perhaps give them something to do in the other room, because we might be focusing on issues that's got to adults only issues type of thing. So can I ask you to do that? Give them a bit of homework, even if it's not there. Create something and go have them do something. Run around in the house, but let's discuss these issues as adults, and let's keep children away from this for now. There will come a time where we engage our kids when it comes to these type of things, but the young ones, maybe they should move away from the radio. Sure, my wife is listening to me. She's doing exactly that. That's good. That's good. 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Kenya got this marginalization.
Yeah.
It was the first few words that you spoke about. It was marginalization, and also, Busi, I want you to come in there as well. Let's discuss this, all of us. Are you seeing it from that perspective as well? You think there's a huge marginalization when it comes to the LGBTI persons?
100%. Yeah, there's great marginalization. As most of the sector or the community are being discriminated against as a result of their sexual orientation, their gender identity and expression, and to such an extent that some of lesbian women, especially black lesbian women, they get raped as a result of that hate. Of saying you are different from me. And as a result, you want to behave in a certain way, and I have the power to want to change you and be who I want you to be. And that cannot happen in this new dispensation where everyone is equal, where everyone is protected by the Constitution, especially Section 9. The anti-discrimination clause.
Steve?
Marginalization happens often to those who are identified. As a country, we have a history of prejudice. We have a history of prejudice against a different color of the skin. We have a history of prejudice, because people of women, where we see we've had that history of sexism, so and we've also seen in the last 25, 30 years. The very same marginalization happening to homosexuals and also to transgender community. And now recently what we're seeing it's not only recent, it has been happening, but quietly so, it's marginalization and discrimination to intersex persons. And I'm breaking it down so that it's understood that when we say LGBTI, there are multiple experiences of discrimination, of stigmatization and marginalization that is happening.
What do you think is it education people don't know? Is it issues of acceptance? And I'm using acceptance really for lack of a better word in terms of when you're around persons like that, are you embracing them? Why is it like that? Why do we find a lot of marginalization and discrimination?
I think first, one, LGBTI persons, are not asking to be accepted. Who's accepting heterosexuals? I think when we talk about embracing, I think I embrace you as a heterosexual. I embrace any person that I come across. Why can't you embrace me as a lesbian woman? So why can't we embrace each other as human beings?
Right.
Because I think the principle of humanity brings a complete context of, of respect, of love, of care, of non-judgmental, irregardless of any creed. So why are we seeing this, the domination of heterosexual and assumed domination, because it needs to be understood in the context of how we have assumed that every person we come across is heterosexual. So we've normalized, the context of heteronormativity.
Right.
We've normalized it in our homes, in schools, at church, at workplace. That's why marginalization happens, because we have not embraced diversities in our communities and church and so forth. So the whole context of assumed domination comes with a whole lot of power, comes with a whole lot of power that is expressed unto others. Power that is moving from thoughts, label, to victimization, and to an extent of murder. And that's why we're seeing, and this is why Busi is talking about why people are raped, are murdered. And by the way, exactly, and it's not just the typical rape and murder, of shooting. It's brutal. It's brutal. People are being strangled. People have got, it's brutal incidents that we're seeing. So that whole marginalization starts with what we are taught and what we think.
0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. That number is a toll-free number if you're going to be calling from a landline. If you call from a cell phone, we'll write your details down. We'll call you back. We'll save you a bit of sense then, so that you don't have to spend too much. I would like you to engage with us. It's a very, very important subject that we're talking about. The Section 9 of the Constitution talks about, it touches on issues that's got to do with that, And I would like us to explore this a little bit more. And I would like you to engage with us on that number, on the toll-free number, 0800 142 446. Somebody said to me, when are you going to start having a WhatsApp line? Don't worry, we're working on it. We're working on it. Very, very soon we'll be launching our WhatsApp line, and we're also going to be interacting with you on Facebook, Twitter, and the rest in the near future. These are some of the things that are being discussed at the moment. So hang 10. Let's use that number, 0800 142 446. SWC environment. You touched on it unaware. You were aware. I mean, that's why you spoke about it. But I'm saying you touched on it, and I was going to come to it, but you touched on it very quickly. I would like us to go back to it, the SWC environment. That's the schools, the workplace, and the churches. What can be done? And you know what? I was going to ask you what the department is doing as far as interventions is concerned regarding this. But let me hang 10 on that, because we know government is trying something, and we'll explore that. Yeah. But let's talk about the SWC environment, the schools, the workplace, as well as the churches.
Yeah, I think let's start with the schools. South Africa is a signatory to the ISA commitments. The ISA commitment is the Eastern and Southern Africa commitment on sexual reproductive health and rights commitment. It's around comprehensive sexuality education. Now, by the way, a lot of times people think when you say what is in the curriculum, people think teachers, LO teachers, life orientation teachers are teaching children how to have sex.
Yes.
No, it's about the body. The body changes. Understanding human sexuality, understanding reproductive system. When you're saying you're a boy child, what kind of a reproductive system do you have? When you're a girl child, and what happens should you engage in sexual contact or activities? How do you prevent? What is HIV? What is health? What is right to take care of your body? What is wellness? So people think sexuality education is about, are we going to promote homosexuality? Are we going to teach children how to have sex? And, we lose it. And we've seen it. We've seen many of the other parties who are against comprehensive sexuality education. It's not new.
Is it not?
No, it is not new. It has been implemented since the 90s. So since life orientation was introduced in the school system, it had a component of comprehensive sexuality education. What has happened over the years is that teachers, because the school environment is controlled not only by a curriculum that is delivered, it's also controlled by parents because they play a role in school governing bodies, management, and so forth. And by teachers are also parents.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yes.
And we tend to forget that, right? But gotta give you super beings.
Teachers are also parents. So sometimes when we do not bring out the right curriculum and build competency amongst teachers, they won't be able to deliver the right comprehensive sexuality education. So that on its own is there, but it's not implemented accordingly. We want to see it happening when teachers are being trained in universities, so that when they go into school, they know what to deliver on time. Secondly, we know what is happening. 78% of LGBTI persons are discriminated in schools.
78%?
Yes.
That's a huge number,
That's a huge number, which means you're going to have high rate of dropout. So when you find a lesbian, gay, bisexual who have dropped out of school, we should not think, oh no, the IQ is low. Chances are that they've been discriminated. They've been abused. They've been bullied. They've been raped. They've been victimized. So we need to ask ourselves exactly how are we responding in the school environment. But also when we say education in the school system, are we also engaging parents? Broadly, let's talk about teenage pregnancy. How many parents want to talk about their teenagers being pregnant?
Listen, I've got a 13-year-old. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's a big issue.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is, 22 after 6 o'clock. Ausbusi, jump in there. We're still handling SWC environments. We touched on schools. We can go back to schools as we go. I mean, the topic is so vast, really. The workplace. How evident is that? How does it manifest in the workplace?
Although I feel that topic can be addressed by Steve in terms of the workplace. Right. Let me just start with the schools first.
Okay.
We have, through the work that we do, through the National Task Team, have received complaints where learners are discriminated against in schools, especially trans learners, where a learner would go to school wearing pants, and the teacher will ask the learner to stand in front and humiliate the child.
Hang on.
Take off your pants. Yes, take off your pants. We want to see who exactly are you. Are you a girl or a boy?
Yeah. Teachers are doing that.
Yeah. They are doing that. So when you touch on the issue of teachers being parents, it's also about socialization. Yes. If I come from a community that is homophobic, that has hate or fear of LGBTI persons, chances are when I get to school, I'm going to reflect that. The same applies to workplace.
Yes.
Where there is such managers, you will get that discrimination. And you also find that some of LGBTI persons Steve has touched on it in the workplace. They get discriminated against. There was one example, I don't want to quote the person, who was invited for an interview, a lesbian woman. When she got there, the panel did not expect who they saw. They expected, a feminine coming in for an interview.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, even some of the policies, I think that as public servants, government departments, we have to mainstream issues of LGBTI persons. Policies that we have there have to include issues of LGBTI persons.
We need to
because
go
not
beyond
exactly.
non-binary.
Yes,
Yeah.
because not even, Steve, not everyone discloses, their gender identity or their sexual orientation. They don't.
Yeah.
So if the environment is not conducive enough, the work environment,
Going to be a challenge.
exactly, how am I going to disclose?
Right. 25 after 6 o'clock, 0800 142 446. Padco Edward North, good evening.
Abuti waphela.
Kapila, Padco, how's it?
Hayi ngiyaphila. Sikinisana nebuthi kaMunu.
Mm-hmm.
Lemkhoti yaka ndathi sifu kaMunu. Wasiba nandi.
Dumela, how are you?
I'm great my brother. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Hayi nami ngiyakuthetha nani namhlanje.
Thetha nam tata.
Okay. Ayomibuzo. Ndifuna ukongeza mna. Kuzo ezimbini nje endifuna uzongeza. Kuma ngoba usithethe into ebalulekileyo okokuqala ukuba iqala phi lento? Iqala pha esikolweni. Xa usesikolweni uma unistress okanye teacher izomenya ngawe phambi kwabanye abantwana. Ilokuthi into ezinjalo bekumele kuba wonke umntana xa esikolweni ngumntana. Wamkelwa njengomntana. Ngoba xa enzenjalo bekumele ukuthi i-SGB no-principal badlala indima ephambili. Ilokuthi ezo nto ezo azenzeki. Mhlawumbe there are favors between the SGB and uprincipal and the teacher le yenze loo nto leyo. Bengicela just ukuveza eyami into ukuba if kunento enjalo ukuba aba bantu aba siphila nabo ngabantwana basemakhaya. Anziva kamandi nami ukuba umntana sekhaya ngokwazi emhlambazwa phambi kwabantu esikoleni okanye enze assembly. Yebo? Yenze ngolo hlobo. Into yesibili bengicela mna in future ne xa kukho the programs ezabantwana bethu le topic esithetha ngayo namhlanje siyazi uba iyaziswa mhlawumbe ngasithi in-alwa not but okay.
All right, I think we've lost Padco there for a bit. We'll try to get him back with his last comment. Let's go to Richards Bay and we chat into Miss Mbata from Richards Bay. Miss Mbata?
Yes,
Hello. Ndiyapila. With Jani?
Ndiyapila.
North Coast Community Radio Station with us this evening. Talk to us.
I have two questions for you.
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one, when one applies for a job, normally it is stated that people with disabilities can apply along with both genders. The LGBTI community is often excluded and not included in such an application criteria. They are treated as insignificant, and as a result, some may then hide their identity when they apply in fear of being judged or in the fear of being bullied at work, since some individuals are extremely homophobic. So my question is, why are they excluded from the application criteria when we are talking about embracing each other as diverse human beings?
Thank you so much for your call. I really appreciate it, Ms. Mbata from Richards Bay. And we thank you, North Coast Community Radio Station, for taking part this evening. Here's Sis Dudu from Joburg. Sis Dudu.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you so much. What is your question or comment?
Good. I want us to deal with the issue of this LGBT in the context of Bible. What actually the Bible says, because for me, I want to ask my brothers and sisters today about the procreation, about the divine law, which is the Bible, the creation of humanity.
Okay.
So, accordingly, in the Bible is clear that it condemns homosexual practice.
Okay.
And according to God, it is an abomination before the Lord. And it is dealt with in the New Testament. It is dealt with in the Old Testament.
Okay.
Yes. So now I want to know that if my brothers and sisters want this to be well known and be accepted, what about the intent and purpose of the Lord Almighty in regards to creation of humanity and the procreation?
Thank you so much, Sis Dudu. You're calling from Joburg. Really appreciate it. A number of community radio stations here in Gauteng, Joburg, Pretoria are taking part, and we really appreciate that. 0800 142 446. Don't be left out of the conversation. We'd like to hear from you as well. Please call in and let's discuss this issue. Let's open up. Let's talk about it. All right. Okay. Here are your questions, my guests. Patko called in. It was not necessarily a question, but he wanted to add upon what you said. And thank you so much, Patko, for your comments. Miss Mbata came in there. It's a problem, and we've just touched on it before she called.
Yeah.
But now she went into detail. She says, look, the issue with applications, she says, let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
As you apply, let alone coming for an interview, as you apply, there's a problem because there's exclusion there.
Yep.
All right?
Yep. Should I? Okay. I think thanks for the callers, and it's much appreciated. And Patko, who's known, but I'm hoping, Patko, one day you will address me as a she, as not your brother but your sister. Forget the name Steve, it's okay, but it's all right. I still
part
love
of
you.
The education process, right?
But I want to go to Mrs. Mbata's question. It's very important.
Yeah.
Section 9 of our Constitution is very clear in terms of non-discrimination. That nobody should be discriminated on the basis of disability, of age, gender, sex, sexual orientation. Now, when you, as a government and as a country, when you recognize there's a population that is left behind, that means you must be intentional. Now, in the past, when the whole application, and when you're saying people with disability are encouraged to apply, it was intentional that we need to diversify the environment and make sure that opportunities also are available for people with disability. Right?
Right.
Because they have competency, they've got capacity, they've gone to school. But we have not done so for other people. We have not done so. We have not encouraged that anyone, regardless of your, non-binaries, regardless of your sexual orientation and gender identity, so that the whole diversity policy is encouraged for those who are left behind. So I think we have a very big task. The other day I was speaking to the Department of Labor exactly around that. So we are looking into it, and we are hoping we'll fast track it so that adverts, when they go out, they respond to that. Now, if you go to Sis Dudu's point, I think Sis Dudu, I'm hoping we will have more conversation. Now, you've got a Old Testament, you've got a New Testament. And, I'm a Christian myself, and I read the Bible, and I argue, even with my reverend at Methodist. The Old Testament is there. The New Testament was also to correct some of the writings in the Old Testament. Now, there's no way in the Bible that says homosexuality is a sin. What is being referred to, and which is Leviticus, it's calling on the perverted acts, not only just the ones of same sex, but beyond. It's perverted acts. And it must be understood. And we are very quick as Christians to pick a scripture that we can use. Today we are talking around homosexuality, but we are not talking about those who have sex when they are on menstruation, and many others. So today the only thing that we're saying is abomination is the only one that we're talking about, not the rest, right?
Right.
Now, what I want her to reflect on, religion is very broad. And there are people who are religious, there are others who are not. And I'm not saying, we've got many LGBTI persons, like myself, who's spiritual and who is Christian, okay? And what is important, there are principles of religion that whether you read from Quran, from the Bible, and you are Buddhist and so forth,
There are principles.
there are principles that are shared across different religions.
Yeah.
One is God is love.
Yes.
You can never spread hate. So you must guard against your own word and mind and thoughts.
Actions and, yeah.
So you can't.
Yeah.
Two, people are made in the image of God. So who are you to judge?
Yeah.
And when you start pointing one finger at the one, the rest is pointing at you. So Sis Dudu, I would love to have more conversation because there are many organizations like, who speaks and unpacks what homosexuality is in the faith space.
Wow, okay.
So I really think she must Google. There are many organizations. There are many reverends. I'm not a reverend. I'm just a disciplined Christian myself.
So that's like one
Yeah?
thing.
But for that moment, but it must be understood.
I was looking for my Bible there for a bit.
It must be understood because the thing is that we interpret it in the way that suits us. That's how we harm others.
And I think from my side, I would like to say that I think it has become, is it a practice or a habit, that when one feels that the other is different from them and they don't like that difference, we will have something that we will use to justify that.
That's how we promote hate.
Yes. And
It
previously,
happens in religion as well.
yes.
I mean, if you want to think about it, it happens in religion as well. If you don't belong to a certain denomination,
Yes.
and then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem.
And I think last year Steve touched on it, if my memory serves me well.
Jeez,
That
May,
during
that was it.
that yeah.
Your
you
memory
will
is powerful.
remind us, eh?
May, that was. Oh my goodness.
That during the apartheid era, the Bible used to be quoted to oppress.
The black people.
Black people.
Yes.
So what are we doing now? We are using the very same Bible,
We're using the very same methods. Are you saying?
the methods to oppress those which we hate
Okay.
or fear,
Okay.
because we perceive them to be different from us.
You know, I've written a number of things here.
Yeah.
From Ausdudu. We're going to jump into them. I want us to dissect one or two. I don't want to dwell on it. I want to give other people a chance. But let's take these callers quickly, and then we're going to answer those questions. If we do have time, I've underlined the one that I would like us to jump into. Let's take Simon from Bushbuck Ridge. Brasai? Simon Bushbuck Ridge? Simon going once? Simon Epush going twice? Fagebondin. All right, we go on. Here's Wanda from Emma Mbozana. I had to change gears there for so to you see. All right, let's go. Wanda.
Yebo bhuti kunjani?
Ngiyaphila phutwa munjani?
Ngiyaphila. I've got a straight technical tricky question up.
Go for it.
It might sound stupid, but
No.
how do you explain this, no? He's a straight guy, no? Attracted to lesbians. And then yet again, vice versa. Gay guys being attracted to me. Is it something wrong with either party, or is it me wrong, or... Don't laugh, my brother.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to call us. You're calling from Emambozet. Emambozan. All right. Let's go to Fezi from Richards Bay. I love Richards Bay. I gotta be honest. You know what, Masutu, I have to say this. I love Richards Bay, man. I went to Richards Bay last year. And Agiti, man, Richards Bay has got a thing, man.
It's beautiful.
You know, I went and walked there, at the beach. Richards Bay has got a thing, man. Wow. Then was couple of Richards Bay too. All right, let's talk to Fezile. Fezile from Richards Bay.
Hello, hi.
Hi, this is Fez.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm good, thank
You gotta be when you're from Richards Bay. Go for it.
you. I'm going to have to. But anyways, let me just jump right to it. I have two questions, actually.
Uh-huh.
My first question is, in the LGBTI community, we are seen less in leadership positions. Now, how can a corporate or any kind of business enterprise better address the marginalization of the LGBT community in a working environment?
Good stuff. Is that the only one that you have? The only question you have?
No, I actually have another question.
Go for it.
So now, let's say the someone guy have there and then I want to use the public toilet. So, and then assign a gay. Again, in a situation like that. So I scream because at the end of the day, he's still a guy. As much as we take OT in the constitution law, but he's still a guy. What am I supposed to do in a situation like that?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your call, Fazile. Really appreciate it. From Richards Bay, let's go to Morgan from JHB, Johannesburg, City of Gold. Morgan?
Yes.
Speak to me, Bob.
Yes. Yeah, sure. No, I just wanted to...
Ebonit. I think... Morgan, are you still there? Morgan? All right, Morgan is no longer there. All right, let's move on. All right, let's jump into these questions.
Yeah.
We'll go to Dudu when we have time, right?
Yeah.
It was just something interesting that I've noted.
We have one down.
Emambo Z, we had a caller from there. We wonder.
Yeah, it was Wanda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wanda, thanks for that question. It's quite an interesting question. Wanda said, what happens as a straight guy who's attracted to a lesbian woman, or, when you have gay guys attracted to him as a straight person? I want to maybe clean two things. Mm-hmm. First, sexual orientation is not written on the forehead. Karab, I'm sitting next to you. Mm-hmm. So besides knowing the fact that you've got a wife and a beautiful daughter, right? But your sexual orientation is not written on your forehead. Mm-hmm. So Wanda must know that when we walk around, we're walking around as human beings. Mm-hmm. Right? The only thing is that we will start assuming. So sexual orientation will be confirmed by a person when
once you engage.
Absolutely. Yes. So when you're attracted to a lesbian woman and they tell you, unfortunately, Baba, I'm lesbian, that's where you retract and say, go right. Sure.
But why do you have to unfortunately, though?
Look, I mean, the point here is that they will turn you down if they're not attracted to you, right? Because sexuality is diverse. You might find that, you have other lesbian who would engage and, but you would have others who would tell you, and similarly, when a gay person is attracted to you, Wanda, and they say, oh, Wanda, awusemhle sana, right? Because what are they attracted to? They're attracted to a man. That's what they see. They are not thinking Wanda is straight, Wanda is gay, bisexual, or any other thing. They're attracted to a man.
First and foremost, they're attracted to a human being.
They are attracted to a human being. Exactly. So it's very important. Now, Wanda used the term straight. I never used that in my vocab, and it's okay. It's a township lingo that we grew up with.
Can I ask you why? Do you want to engage me on why, or we'll talk about it?
Well, you can ask me why.
Okay.
So if, Karabo, you're going to walk around and you're saying, Gutias and Stephen, I'm straight. It's okay, you can own it, but that word I never use in my vocab because you mean anyone else is not straight.
You should check. Yes. You should check it out on the video. What he does. You should check it out on the video. Oh, right? My word.
So the only straight thing we know is a ruler or spaghetti. Until next year hit.
Even the spaghetti is not straight when cooked.
Exactly, that's the thing.
All right, I tell you what, you know what, we do have a couple of questions, right?
Okay.
I've got this caller, though, listening to Impact all the way from the United States of America. And who am I talking to? We've got a listener from the U.S. Is it Matthew? Matthew?
Yes, how's it going?
It's going very well. Matthew, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for calling all the way in the U.S. I think you guys are a couple of hours behind us, right?
Yeah. In fact, we're
1
8
p.m.
hours behind your time.
Oh,
but I'm currently in Nongoma right now.
Right.
That's how I heard the program, was listening to Nongoma FM 88.3.
Oh, nice.
Well, perfect stuff. Welcome to South Africa.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful time here. I
Great.
would just like to say I'm very glad to hear you guys discussing this topic on the radio. Back home where I'm from, there's been a movement to try to really accept the LGBTQ community. And I'd just like to say that I think it's very good you're trying to educate South Africa on this issue. And I would like to see more people be accepting towards lesbians, gays, transgenders, and all sorts of things like that.
Right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Have you got a question for us there, Matthew?
My question, I guess, would be what other ways is the government going about trying to help educate people on this issue?
Okay. Perfect stuff. All right. Thank you so much. Is that the only question that you have?
I guess other than that, yeah, I think that's about the only question I have. And then, yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for having me.
All right. Great. So how long have you been in the country?
I have been in the country. I got here October 18th, and I will fly out November 10th.
Do me a favor. Before you leave, you got to go to Durban, man. There's King Shaka Marine there. If you happen...
Oh, yeah, I've been to Durban before. I was here. I was in Durban 2 years ago when I was here, in fact.
Pop into...
Yeah, when I was here with KBMF 102.5, our radio station from Montana, we went to Durban, and then this time we hiked Tugela Falls, and then we hiked Eminweenie Pass and the Rockeries, and yeah, we've been all over the place.
Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much for participating in our local programs and listening to our local radio stations. We really appreciate it, Matthew. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Big shout out to Nongoma FM. Good
stuff. There we go, Matthew. Coming into the country at a very, very good time. The Bucks are playing.
Yeah.
All right, 14 before 7. All right, let's jump in. I wanted to take that caller quickly. We don't want to keep them holding on for a bit too long. Let's go on with those questions. All right, you were explaining that whole issue, and you were just about to hold my hand and squeeze a little bit and make me understand how passionate you are about not using the word straight. Go for it.
You know what?
You see, he does it again. She does it again.
No, it's okay. I love my straight friends. You know,
Okay, it's like that. Is it like that?
I do love my friends.
Okay.
Look,
Okay.
you know why I'm saying
talk,
this?
yeah.
I'm saying this because people don't know the term heterosexual. And that's why I'm understanding. But straight, it's a derogative word. It's a township.
Okay.
It's a township word. It's like saying to a black person, kafir.
Yeah.
You know, nigger.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't know.
Yes.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I did not know.
You know, but when you put in human sexuality, you know, knowledge and the real terms that is used to define human beings, you have to use the right terms. So in biology, you do not have straight. In biology, you've got hetero, and which means opposite.
Okay.
In that's mathematics. So hetero means opposite. Homo means same. Bi means both. These are terms that were used and taught in school.
Right.
And then there goes, you know, heteros who do not own up to their identity, and they lose it, and they call themselves straight. My dear. And then when human sexuality is diverse and flexible and complex and complicated, and you find somebody that you're attracted to, and then you question whether you're straight still, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, some of these vocabs I don't use. Same as the word normal. When people
like
say,
what, okay, that one here. Like
right?
what? Okay, who's abnormal then? You know?
Exactly.
Who's abnormal?
Yeah, but when you say straight and a woman,
oh yeah, who's you see, now that you've told me that, I was going to say,
yeah,
no, true.
And Steve, also,
true.
some people don't understand what the meaning of sexual orientation is.
Yes.
Just there.
Yeah.
Whoa. Bofadi break. Let's discuss that.
Popa.
I get it. You've picked up a lot of people don't understand. Let's
Yes.
let's not
Yes.
leave it,
Yes.
right? Quickly, in 30 seconds, if that's enough, a minute. What is it? What is sexual orientation. What is it?
Sexual orientation is who Busi is attracted to.
There.
Finish and laugh.
Yeah.
So-
Then you go 30 seconds. No. Why? They bang a 10. Yeah. Okay.
And it's
So-
Busi saying that.
It's Busi saying that.
I am attracted to.
That's my sexual
So that means
orientation.
Karabo can't say Busi is attracted to somebody else.
Okay. Oh.
Yes. Because it only
It's got to
is-
come from the,
Yes.
can I say the owner? Am I using the right word?
Absolutely. The person must confirm. That's how we understand. So because it's about their own attraction, their own feeling towards the next person.
Is the next person allowed to ask you, what is your sexual orientation?
You
Oh,
can.
am I
You
talking
can.
sense? Am I talking
Yeah.
sense?
Talking sense.
You
Okay.
can. You can.
And also, how
And then
do you identify
You see, the
yourself?
good thing about what you're saying is the next person able to ask you. When you ask, and then Busi confirms,
Then we've got communication.
then we've got
Yeah.
communication.
We've got
and
dialogue.
mutual respect.
Done.
Thank you. 10 minutes before 7, 0800 142 446. We're chatting to my two friends coming into the studio. This time around, we're talking about issues that's got to do with the LGBTI persons and the rights thereof. And we're exploring that. We want you to be part of this broadcast, by the way. All right, we're going to go to Fezile just now. Yeah. I told you must take over the show. All right. So, Sisbus is in the studio as well as Steve is in the studio. We're discussing these things. 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. Here's a big problem. Fezile picks up the call. He says, "You know what? It's about something that they're not ready. They're not ready.
We're always ready.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let me check.
There.
She says leadership positions. We got a big problem there.
Yes.
Very little, if there's any, representation.
So Fezile asked two things. When you have people on leadership positions and you are a business, what is it that you can do for the LGBTI community? How do you address it in the workspace? Because at the beginning you asked the question, we see what is happening in the workplace. And we were talking about discrimination. Now Fezile is asking about a solution. And maybe we can tap on that. First, I think it's very important to look at diversity policy. Once any business, any office, any organization has got a diversity policy, you would have nailed it. Because that means anyone that walks in there would know the rules of engagement in this company is to respect anyone regardless of sexual orientation, gender, race, disability, and so forth. When you walk in, you will be able to embrace every person. The space is diverse. It's love. It's productive. That's how you keep the economy going. Because everyone's well-being is taken care of. Now,
So
in the
Homala-
absence,
yeah,
in the absence of
that,
you have to introduce it. You have to get the workers, which is your workforce, to talk about it. That's how you have to assess even the mindset. If workers or employees are not aware of the issues, or some are homophobic and so forth, you have to assess so that when you introduce it, you will do it in phases where you bring others to change their attitude towards others. You have to care about everyone's well-being, no matter the dominance or no matter the minority.
Right. And then
Hence the
yeah,
issue of mainstreaming.
Yes.
gender mainstreaming.
Yeah.
Right. And then Fezile goes on to ask, when I want to use a public toilet and I find...
Sure.
Yeah. Any comments on that?
Yeah,
I think it has been happening a lot.
yeah.
When you mainstream, we talk about mainstreaming, whether in the public sector or private sector.
Okay.
When you come to issues of toilets, one is encouraged to also have a gender-neutral toilet. A gender-neutral toilet meaning that any person comfortable to use it will use it. No female and male. When you mainstream, we have to take into consideration the gender-neutral one. Same with our forms. Same with our forms. Now we have to consider the third gender. You have female, you have male. There should be another one. Whether you call it an X or you call it. You must be creative when you want to mainstream. I can get issues women. We said we are mainstreaming gender issues, women's issues.
Yeah.
The same should happen with
Sexual orientation,
with sexual
and gender
orientation,
identity.
and with the special advice working together with the sector, because the sector are the ones that know more than most, if not some of us.
Right. I think you touched a bit on Matthew's question there about government's intervention. We're going to jump into it when we wrap up in detail, though.
Okay.
So Matthew, hang in there, don't go away. We've got Sharp from Nongoma. Sharp from Nongoma, how's it?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm Sharp,
Thanks for
man,
having
and
me
you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Go for it.
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm enjoying your show very much. And at Nongoma FM and KBMF in USA, Butte, Montana, we're actually doing a collaboration where we had guest shows where we had two transgender people come into the show and talking about the challenges that they have.
Oh, wow.
Well
Wow.
Done.
Yes. So on that show, I heard you guys were talking about the bathroom challenge, about the identity challenge. And when I talked to them, the challenge that they had was that they actually fear people more than people fear them. When they walk into a bathroom, they fear that they might be raped, they might be attacked. They might be subjected to some sort of violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yes,
true.
and while I was there, the people there, they're a very accepting community, but then it's not everywhere. And when they asked me about it, about the difference between there and in South Africa, I told them that there are some traditional obstacles that we have to go through when we're in South Africa, because here we have traditional values that we have in different communities.
I see.
And my question is that how do we educate people in traditional places, in rural places? How do you educate them but not disrespecting their traditional values? Like places like in Nongoma.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Sharp, for that. It's a very interesting one, and we're going to explore it. You know, I was talking about earlier, I've actually written it down. We were talking about the SWC environment. I think we're gonna have to add traditional leadership there in terms of engagement with them and how it goes. But thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Gugulet. I know it's Gugu actually from Ladysmith. Sorry, Gugu, man. I got carried away, man. Hey, there's that song, man. Yeah. Gugu?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for calling in. What is your question or comment?
Hello.
Gugu?
Yes. I'm calling from Ladysmith. I was listening to your show on mobile, and it's a very interesting topic that you're discussing, because it's the story of my life in a way, you know. Like, the other day, I'm female by birth. So the other day, I go into the ladies' room, and people get hysterical, and they call security, and you just don't know where you fit in, where to get in, like where you fit in the whole picture. You know, it's. I think it's a good thing you guys are engaging in this topic so that people can get more educated on this, because it's really tiring. So much, I just use the gentleman's room because I know go to the ladies' room, I'm gonna have problems all the time.
Is it a problem for you, Gugu, if you don't mind me asking? Because now the first thing that hit my mind as you were talking is compromise. Now it's like you're forced to do something that you originally don't want to do. Does that make you happy that you're compromising in that way, or do you want to live your life the way it's supposed to be lived? If you want to go to a women's ladies' room, that's exactly what you want to do.
I'm thinking this is South Africa. People are supposed to do things they want to do, but I really can't.
Yeah.
Dramas before I do that, so I just choose not to do it. Not because I'm happy about it, but I mean, it's the easier thing to do.
Let me have you engage with my guests quickly, Gugu, just for a bit. Would you like to speak to Gugu? Yeah, go for it.
You see, Gugu, I think you and I would share possibly experience because, as a lesbian woman myself, and I'm butch, so a lot of time people would definitely assume my name is Steve, and then people would assume, Steve is a man, right? But Steve is not a man; it's a woman, right? And I own my identity like that, but I'm non-binary. That means, I'm not cisgendered, so I'm not a feminine woman as expected by society.
So you relate to
So I assume, as you said, by the way, you're female. I assume we share this experience, right?
Yes,
Exactly. So one thing I've learned over the years, because I had that many years ago, but one thing I've learned to look out for me, because similarly, you would be worried when you walk into a male bathroom. And you start to fear. And that's why you are sharing that, right? I had to own up and accept. I'm not interested when women shout. It's their own problem. I am not lost. So when you walk into a female bathroom, you must walk in proudly without fearing. Let them deal with their own demons of questioning. You cannot now question and put your life at risk for any other to accommodate.
Hence I was asking the compromise. It's like one is doing. Busisiwe?
Yeah, she's compromising her safety to make other people comfortable. And that is so unfortunate.
Be comfortable. Go to the bathroom and do what you have to do there and get out.
All right. All right, Gugu, are you happy with that?
Very happy. Thanks a million, guys.
Guguletu. I had to say it. I had to say it before you leave. Thank you so much for calling. All right, let's go to Bashimane from Northwest. Bashimane. Boys from Northwest. Bashimane Northwest going once.
Yeah, I'm calling from
Brazil. You don't know how much I look forward to fuck up people at body. Okay, go for it, Bashimane.
Thanks, Karao. Look, I don't want to sound controversial.
No, we're discussing. You know what? There's no judgment. We're not judging. We're discussing. Yeah, go for it.
No. I just wanted to mention that, and I also want to mention that I do actually have friends who are gays and lesbians. So, the question that I have is to them actually to say, to make it easy for us. How do I identify them? How do I know if they are in a relationship? How do I know who is he and who is she?
Bashimane, busy man. Anyway.
So that's my first question. Well, without having to ask, without having to investigate for who is he, who is she, because obviously they will look familiar or rather similar. The other question would be on the issue of adoption, because obviously they can't have children of their own. What is the law saying on that, and how do they feel about that? Because obviously they've decided that they don't want to have children of their own, but they want to raise children. So what is their position on that? And if they do adopt children, what are they going to teach them?
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Bashimane, for your call. I think we're running out of time. We've only got 3 minutes. I'm going to take this last caller. Or am I taking both of them, two of them? All right, let me take two, but we're going to run out of time. Here's Mfundo, and I hope it's not... Here's Mfundo from Cape Town. Mfundo from Cape Town.
Yes, my big brother.
Aye, man, that's like it, man. I thought it was you. Jeez, man. Yeah, it's about time you call into these shows, Mfundo. How are you doing?
I'm good, my brother, and thank you so much, and to your guest as well. I'm listening to Radio with the Mail,
Yes, sir.
And and then mine is not a question, it's per se.
Yes, sir.
But it's a comment because it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Because when I'm listening to this conversation and the other listeners as well, I begin to understand that it's one of the subjects that we will never ever have a common understanding.
Right.
In terms of having one voice.
Okay.
Now I begin to understand as well, or to think of the fact that it means life has two layers. The originality, and then also there is a robotic side of life.
There's a what?
Robotic side.
Okay.
That's why you have those who are arguing based on the Bible.
Okay. I see what you mean.
And then now, even from the Bible, the only reason.
Okay, Mfundo, you're a radio producer. You should know we're running out of time. Go for it. Go to your point, my brother.
No, it's fine. My big brother, my only comment is that I think we need to do more education in terms of taking the community to understand.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. That's Mfundo. Is one of our colleagues, by the way. That's why I threw my hands in the air. When I saw Mfundo Cape Town, I thought there could only be one guy. Mfundo is one of our producers based in Parliament. So when we have programs happening in Parliament, he's the guy that's handling our studios back in Parliament. So thank you for your call, Mfundo. Let's go to SK. SK is calling from KZN. SK?
Hello, guys. Are you well?
We're good.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Just a comment.
Go for it.
Yeah, I just want to say to people about homophobic, there's a lot going on this country. We're going through a lot already. There's violence against women and children, abuse, there's unemployment. I mean, we are graduates, but we are unemployed. Can we make the world a better place and stop worrying with amantombazana lala namantombazana angendawo abasathi kuzigcwalisa imaxanduva abananto kudla babophanda banaka indaba zabo, because these people are not bothering anyone. At the end of the day, if they were to choose, I'm sure they're not going to choose that, but it happened with bafila the way bafila ngakhona abantu babanaka izinto ezibalulekile leyo ukuthi abantu bathangane awungendawo.
So can we agree, Guti Ubashimani, you were responding to Bashiman, the investigator?
We can give you his number. I can give you his Facebook account. No, I'm just joking. Thank you so much, SK, for calling in. We really appreciate it. We've only got 2 minutes. We're actually out of time, but let's take 2 minutes to wrap up. It's a pity I'm not going to go to these questions, all of them, but let's just wrap it up. A couple of things came through. Government's intervention, what's government doing about it? You know, we had guys like Sharp who call in education to people, especially those in the rural areas. His concern is more about traditional teachings that we have, where we come from, culture, so forth. He spoke about that. But Shimani came in there, stirred things a little bit there, and we're suspecting that SK might be responding to that. You know, making it easy for people to identify, he says. You know, spoke about issues of adoption. Mfundo came in there, spoke about originality and robotism, if I can call it that. Some people are so robotic, focusing on one thing and not really opening up their minds, I suppose. And then, of course, SK came in there, the last one, saying, look, there's a lot going on in Ghana, Piwe. Now, how do you wrap it up?
I think let's wrap it up in this way. LGBTI persons are human beings. And once you understand human sexuality, that when a child is born, they're born male, female, or intersex. And, you know, that's biology. It's important. And when you also look at gender, how do we bring up this child who was born and assigned a particular sex at birth? And then we look at gender, because gender is social construction. And gender, then we bring them up as girls, as boys, and then you, now going outside the binary context, that's where you then find transgender persons, gender non-conforming individual. How do you assign masculinity, femininity? Because we give roles. By the time you say, I've got a girl child and I'm buying them a doll, you are assigning them roles when they grow up, that they're going to take care of a baby. When the child is born and you're saying they are boys, and then you assigning them and you give them a gun and you say shoot, because you have to protect or you have to defend or whatever, right? So that's a gender on its own. Sexual orientation, which is what Busi spoken about. But all of these things are interconnected. Now, they are human beings. That child that was born has got a reproductive system. Who says gay people can't give birth? Who can't have children? They've got a reproductive system. Who says lesbian women can't give? I've got a child of my own. I gave birth. And, you know, as a lesbian woman, nobody just decides and wake up and say they want to adopt. They will decide and wake up. Whether they are heterosexual, they are homosexuals, they are bisexual, they will then decide they would want to adopt. So it's very important. The other thing, Bashimane must stop investigation because nobody's worrying about him being heterosexual or whichever sexual or whatever. I think people, if you're saying you've got gay friends, bisexual friends, lesbian friends, let them be. It doesn't matter whether they are dating or not. Sometimes people just don't want to date. Can we relax and not be investigating officers? Why peanut butter komukana? Bashimane.
All right, go for it.
I think from my side is that government, together with the civil society organization, have made strides in terms of intervening and addressing these challenges. We have established the National Task Team, which is chaired by now recently our Deputy Minister and Steve, of course, as a member of the CSO. And we have developed a national intervention strategy that focuses on 5 areas. That is prevention, education. Then it's response in terms of the cases that are pending, and then capacity building of public officials, especially on service points, to prevent the challenges, secondary victimizations that is experienced by the victims. And then we have these structures that we have established. We have the provincial task teams that are implementing the national intervention strategy, and we have rapid response teams. And then lastly, we have our entity that we go to and report on what we have done in terms of the international intervention strategy.
But what I want to say, there are many organizations as well, in addition to what Busi is saying, like Access Chapter 2, Our Triangle. I mean, if people want more information, they can go on Facebook, they can go on websites. Access Chapter 2 is there, and it's contactable also by phone. So people can go on social media and find us to be in contact.
Thank you so much. That's the voice of Steve Letsike, Director of Access Chapter 2, and as well as Busisiwe Dhlamini, DOJ&CD Project Manager, handling issues of LGBTI, the programs that are running from there. We really appreciate it. Thank you so for your time, Busi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Steve.
Thank you, my friend.
I want what else?
No, what for?
I gotta go with some questions that are difficult.
Oh,
Give me out.
Yeah,
give me out. Right. Let's apologize to Nontlantla from KZN. We really appreciate it, Nontlantla, for calling in. Unfortunately, you could not go on air, but don't worry about it. We've got your numbers down, and we'll definitely call you next time and engage you. And Kabelo from Zirast, by the way. All right, so Kabelo, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. From Cape Town, Unati called in as well. Unati, we really, really appreciate it. And I think somebody that's made my day for calling in, Gimfundo. Thank you so much. Here's Lennox Class holding the fort with regards to telecommunications this evening. We really appreciate that. Black belt in picking up phones, he says. And then we've got Dadamusoto Stone handling controls as well as a signal distribution. Na monitoring the national chance ka jenore ka khata ke a botsa. Ne ka seke. All right, and thank you so much to Ausnobu on video there, handling all our video and YouTube accounts in terms of images. We really appreciate it, Sesnobu. You did an absolutely amazing job. And Lili Bosso DOJ&CD, the guys that are making this show possible, putting up together the content, making sure that you are dear to what we're here for. We thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciate that. Ciao for now.
Well done, guys.